we have not been able to come to a realization of ourselves. Now, I said earlier that when we began all of this, we said we wanted to go back to our roots. The way I see myself 10 years ago is not the way I see myself today.
What has changed?
A lot has changed because I have come to realize who I am as an African. To know that my forebears, my forefathers, my ancestors built the pyramids of Giza.
How did you come to that realization?
We don't know our history enough. So we are going back to history. So the whole idea of historical consciousness is on that level because we want to go back to history.
Thomas Sankara reminded us we must choose either champagne for a few or safe drinking water for all. Tell me about Thomas Sankara.
Thomas Sankara was a revolutionary leader, one who wanted to change the course of Burkina Faso in the twinkle of an eye, I would say, because he had the power. Government was in his hands. Hence, I can do it. And he was doing it. And he was only there for 2 years. And he was taken out. Taken out because they saw the push, how he came like a tornado to change the course of that country.
Let's talk about the light of wisdom. You know, when Correct Connect Africa Foundation talks about imperishable stars, I ask myself, do stars perish on a good day? When Correct Connect Africa speaks of African Renaissance, you wonder if Africa's advancement has come. Reverend Alaekwe Odior, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
It's a pleasure.
You are the executive guardian of Correct Connect Africa.
Africa Foundation.
Correct Connect.
Yeah.
Correct Connect.
Yeah.
How?
You mean the name, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The history of that name. Okay. With my peers, my folks, while still studying philosophy to become a priest, I usually use the word correct. When you say, oh, did you do it well? Correct is good. Correct. Now, when this whole idea came to create, to do something about Africa, our young people, our minds, changing our minds, educating our minds. All of this began when I was studying in Rome. Now thinking about the name to call the group, I thought about what kind of education that I want to have of Africa today. So I was thinking of, okay, the right education, the right information, the right knowledge, the right history of Africa. Because then I didn't actually have any idea of all of these things that are happening today. I mean, what I am doing today. Back then in Rome, it just clicked. Something just hit me and it's like, oh, the scales just fell from my eyes. And I started digging in, reading books and all of that. So now thinking about the name, I was like, yeah, I'm used to this word correct. So I was like, okay, we want to go back to our roots. We want to go back to Africa. We want to go back to those wonderful things that we have as Africans, the knowledge. So I said, yeah, it would be nice to use the word correct connection back to Africa. That's how it came back. So we said correct, connect, Africa. We used movements initially. But when we're trying to register with CAC, they were like, no, the word movement is like you're against the government and fighting for the... So use foundation. So that's how we now made it correct, connect, Africa Foundation. So that is the history behind the name.
And your motto, Akurek.
Yes. Akurek is, we say, it's an ancient Egyptian word. So we are talking about going back to our roots. That's another word you've not mentioned yet. It's called Sankofa. It's an ancient, it's a Ghanaian word from the Ashanti region. Sankofa means go back and retrieve it. Go back and collect. Go back and get what you have left behind. So for the Correct Connect Africa Foundation, it is a philosophy for us. It's our philosophy, because whatever education we are doing and all of that, we are saying we're going back to retrieve those wonderful things that we have left behind as Africans.
Wonderful things?
Yeah. You know, history is history. Inside history, you have actions and inactions, things that people have done and all of that. So we are saying that those good things that we have left behind, good things that are in our culture, that represent us, that talks about our identity as Africans that we have left behind, we are going back to retrieve them to be able to move forward. So now, coming to Akurek, which is an ancient Egyptian word, we said to ourselves, okay, if we want to begin, let's begin from the basics. So ancient Egypt was an African civilization, and most of us don't know things about it. So let's go back there and see if we can call out some things for ourselves to move us forward. So that is how we got those words, Akurek, Ikemuseku, Akureku Hemesut. So Akurek, the light of wisdom, the light that comes out of wisdom. And we know that, wisdom is the application of knowledge. The knowledge that you have, the way you apply it, one would say, oh, that person is wise or is unwise. Because the most important thing, first and foremost, is the application. It's not having wisdom, or rather, it's not having knowledge. It's how do you apply your knowledge to things, to realities, to situations that comes before you. So we are saying that the light of wisdom comes from what? Knowledge. Comes from what? Enlightenment. And all of that. So, Akurek, light of wisdom. Akurek, Ikemuseku. So we are saying that the light of wisdom, which helps us to do what? To recognize that we are what? Imperishable stars. Light of wisdom help us to know that you are an African, you are a king, you are a queen, you are a prince. How do we come to know that? It's through knowledge, through education, through history, going back to understand who you are, who your ancestors were. Who are your forebears? What did they do? And now, what are you doing today? So having that knowledge of your forebears, how does it make you the person you are today? So we are saying that we are imperishable. So we can't die. We are Africans. We are the source. We are the source from which every other continent, every other people will have to take from. And now, you being that imperishable star, you are saying, okay, Africa today is like this. So how do you drive the rebirth of Africa?
You are the executive guardian.
Yeah.
Are you also the spiritual guardian?
Yeah, we can say that. Yeah.
You are a reverend father.
Yeah.
So you are spiritual.
Sure.
Is Connect Africa spiritual?
Correct, connect Africa. Yeah, it. We are human beings. Now, we have to differentiate between being a spiritual organization and being just an organization. Now, why did I say we are humans? As humans that are part of this organization, we are all spiritual beings, physical and spiritual. But as an institutional spiritual organization, no. So actually, we say we are non confessional. Hence, we do not ascribe to one religion, or we do not ascribe. As long as you love Africa, as long as you are moving towards the betterment, the rebirth, this rebirth we are talking about, this African renaissance, you want it to happen in our lifetime. As long as you have that idea in your mind, you are welcome. No matter which religion or what denomination you profess or you identify with.
The reason I asked, light of wisdom, it sounds philosophical,
Sure.
but I can see some deep spiritual undertone from my interpretation. Imperishable stars. Do stars perish?
They say stars die. I mean, it lasts for thousands of years, but they are kind of stars do what do you call it? What do you want? They quench. They. What's the word now? When you see the stars, it's very bright, and it gets to a point that they are dimming, it's dimming, it's dimming, it's dimming, it's dimming, and all of that. Now, scientists would say that when you see the star that bright, it doesn't mean that it is that close to you, but it is bright because it's very active in that sense. But as time goes on, it dims and all of that. So we are saying that, yeah, we are not looking at it from the scientific perspective, but we are looking at it from a spiritual perspective. Just as Africans are, we are spiritual beings. We put our legs on the floor, on the ground, as people who believe in God, nature, and what God has created. So we are spiritual beings. We talk about what God has created, and the stars are what God has created. It's part of what God has created. So if we say we are imperishable stars, we are stars that lives forever. Though stars perish, they die, but stars as a giving of God's creation does not go into extinction, just as the human person does not go into extinction.
Was Fela an imperishable star?
Sure, though he's dead, but he lives on. He lives on in each and every one of us today. I, as a person, Fela lives in me because I resonate with his thoughts, what he puts down, his songs, the things that he has said for Africa to move forward. It resonates with me, and I believe it resonates with a lot of people in our society today. So through us, Fela is still alive. So he's imperishable.
So Walimu Nyerere is imperishable.
He's imperishable.
Nkuru-
Thomas Sankara is imperishable. Nkrumah is imperishable.
We had these imperishable stars that are still shining. Yet Africa is poor. How?
Yes, Africa is poor because our minds are not yet liberated. Yes, the Nkrumahs, the Inyereres, the Felas, the Thomas Sankaras. Yes, these are beats. These are drops of a mighty ocean. And the poverty of Africa today is mainly the poverty of the mind. It's not the poverty of resources. It's the poverty of the fact that we have not come to realize who we are, our identity as Africans, and what we represent to the world today. So, even the greed that we experience today through our leaders is as a result of what? The poverty of the mind.
Poverty of the mind. What is poverty of the mind? What does that mean? Is it that the mind is hungry, no food?
Yeah, it's hungry if you want to put it, in literally in that manner. No food. And what is this food? Knowledge. Knowledge. We have not been able to come to a realization of ourselves. Now, I said earlier that when we began all of this, we said we wanted to go back to our roots. The way I see myself 10 years ago is not the way I see myself today.
What has changed?
A lot has changed because I have come to realize who I am as an African. To know that my forebears, my forefathers, my ancestors built the pyramids of Giza.
How did you come to that realization?
Books, knowledge, going back to history. That is it. That is what we need. We need to educate ourselves. We just don't know who we are. The priests, the ancient Egyptian priests that taught Socrates and Pythagoras and the rest, that taught them philosophy. And today, those priests are not recognized. They don't even know them. So, if we come to that realization, things will change. If our leaders come to that realization, the change will be so swift that you wonder, was Africa like this before? Because it is that conviction, when one is convinced and say, oh, this is actually what I am supposed to be doing. I talked about greed. So these are things crippling the African Renaissance we are talking about.
You know, you have used the word African identity again and again.
Yeah.
Nkrumah used the African identity during his Independence Day speech to the world. This African identity, what is it?
The African identity is knowing, in simple terms, is saying that I am an African. I know my environment.
Who is an African?
Okay, now, that is a wonderful question. Who is an African? An African is that person who embodies the ideals of an African. Now, it's like we're bringing back the word African and African again. The ideas of what? My environment, my culture, my society, my history. Now we are talking about 2026, African Memorial Day, and we are looking at leadership and governance in Africa. So we are talking about the ideals of leadership. What is the vision of leadership in Africa? Does Africa have a leadership vision, a government vision as African? Okay, let's talk about Nigeria. Do we have a vision of governance? So for you to have that vision, there should be some ideals that you anchor yourself to and say, okay, these are the ideals that I want to propagate, that I want to put forward for my people, for myself and my people. So an African is one who embodies these ideals, these values, African systems, and all of that.
What are these values? What are the African values that define me as an African?
Ubuntu.
Is it my skin?
No. Ideas, community, Ubuntu. I am because you are.
So an American can be an African?
For sure. For sure. Because it's all the mind, it's the ideas. They say ideas rule the world. It's not just about being, and also you know about this guy that talked about, what was the name again? Black skin and white masks. talking about Africans who are Africans by skin or by mindset and doings. They are what? Europeans. So the idea of an American can be an African, yes, an African can be an American through the ideas.
It's about the mind.
It's about the mind. We go back to that thing about the mind.
You were in Rome.
Yeah.
What did they do to your mind in Rome?
I think they opened my mind. They made me see the world from a different lens, from a different perspective. In fact, I would say thank you to Rome for this orientation that I have today about Africa. Because if I had not gone to Rome, I wouldn't know the importance of my land, the importance of my history, the importance of my African value system.
So it was an opportunity for the rediscovery of your identity.
Of my identity.
So that's what happens in Rome.
That's what happened to me. So
I thought in Rome you just read Bible.
No. You read Bible also, but Rome, I say Rome is the capital city of the world. Because I've not been to many places, but I have met a lot of people come from different parts of the world in Rome. And you see these people express themselves. In Rome, you are allowed to express yourself, express your culture, be who you are. And these are part of the things that kind of reawakened me, or rather brought the knowledge to me, or brought the idea to me that, man, what are you doing? Who are you? I started asking myself that question. Who are you?
Are you still in the process of self-discovery, or you have discovered everything about you?
No, you are always in that process. There's no way no one can actually say I'm self-discovered. It's a lifelong journey. You keep discovering and discovering and discovering yourself.
You know, you love Fela. Do you dance to Fela?
In fact, that's what we're listening to coming here.
No, how do you connect that? A reverend father in love with the music of Fela, in love with Fela. How do you explain that?
I think it is what Stella stands for. Stella stood for justice. Fela stood for fairness. I mean, we talk about Fela. We should study Fela. We should study the mind of Fela. Fela was far, far beyond his time. Fela was talking about the things that we are seeing. Fela is a prophet, or was a prophet. So what is happening today were things that Fela had spoken about, talked about, warned against. So, yeah, Fela, anybody that fights for justice, fairness, for the people, for the poor, I would easily fall in love with them. So Fela was, when I was even in school, Fela was the man that I used a lot as my reference in terms of when we had the possibility to study music. When they were giving us their own Mozart and the rest, I present Fela.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In this discourse, we've been talking about the African identity and looking at the objectives of Correct Connect Africa. Connect through education. And education also means reading of books. Are we reading enough in this part of the world?
I don't think so. I don't think we are reading enough. But that has to be put in place. We have to create reading hubs. We have to create that culture, actually. But it's difficult to do that because we do not have a government that has that as an ideal or as a value. In Rome, I go back to Rome. Uh, at the subway, one day when they're moving around the city, went to the subway, and I saw people waiting for the train to come. But many of them were on their books, reading, reading the book in its hard copy, or using this Amazon
Kindle.
Kindle, and they are reading. Or those who are in the train, mainly I see a lot of them using the Kindle, and they read. That is a culture. That is, we can also call that an identity, the European identity, or the Romance identity, or the Italian's identity. But we don't have that here. Now, with the whole social media, phones, and all of that, people are just buried on their phones and moving like that. And that has become a culture for us now. So the priorities are kind of not set. We have uh, different situations, or we have our priority, I would say, is shifted from things that could help us develop ourselves. You were talking about the engineering, the human engineering of the mind and all of that. So the priority is shifted from building ourselves, forming ourselves as human beings, to just playing around, getting distracted. So we are not reading enough in this part of the world.
And your foundation is looking at education from the historical and cultural perspective.
Yeah.
In that case, we need to provide books.
Sure. Sure. In fact, one of our campaign that we are into this period is what we call legacy giving. We are looking at having a library that houses books from all parts of the world that has to do with Africa, African history, African cultural practices, Africa culture, African identity, everything about Africa. And the way we are talking about this, the way we are looking at this particular project is that these books are actually coming from people, us. Oh, I have this book at home, so I'm not really using it. So let me give it to Correct Connect Africa Foundation, put it there, so that somebody can come there and use that book for their own edification and all of that. So while you bring your book, it is written there that this book is coming from so, 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 and so. Let's say the Mr. and Mrs. Okeke's family. They brought this book in the year so, 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 and so is there. So anybody that comes there to use that book, they are saying that this book was donated by Mr. and Mrs. Okeke, or is it the Akintolas, or whoever. That is the idea. You collate these books because we have a lot of them in our families. Nobody is using them and they are just kept there. Bring them together. Let's create a community library and put it there whereby people can come and start using these books. Go for researches and all of that for their works, school works, and all, to just to edify yourself. So it's part of the ideas, part of the plan of Connect Africa this year, and we have already started. In fact, the ESL of Benin has given us 2-3 books for this project.
Good.
Yes. So we began already. So we are still here and there trying to reach out to people to continue the project.
I will introduce you to some books that will open your mind about Africa. Books that you can read to drive you into the future, but you have to understand the past. One of the books is this one, The Fortunes of Africa, a 5,000-year history of wealth, greed, and endeavor, written by Martin Meredith. It tells you the past of Africa. It's a book you should read. Another book I will introduce to you that will broaden your knowledge about Africa is this one, The State of Africa, a history of the continent since independence. It's like volume 2 of this one. This is volume 1, and this is the volume 2 by the same author, Martin Meredith. Get these books, read them. Reverend Odior has talked about Fela, and Fela is one man I am interested in. So once I see Fela on a book, I want to read it. This is a book written by a professor of African Studies, Professor Shola Olorunyomi. It is entitled Afrobeat, Fela and the Imagined Continent. I recommend this book to you. Afrobeat, Fela and the Imagined Continent. Education to an active Pan-African citizenship. That is one of the goals of Correct Connect Africa.
Yeah.
Education to an active Pan-African citizenship. When you say Pan-African, what are you talking about?
That consciousness. We're talking about that consciousness that you belong to a continent. Not just Nigerian, Ghanaian, Kenyan, but you're looking at the African continent as a whole. Because this whole division, we are one people. The Berlin Conference created these borders. So when we're talking about this Pan-African citizenship, that is why also in our project, in whatever we do, we use African. We're not saying Nigeria, we're not saying Kenya, we're not saying, no, African. It's also talking about this Pan-African citizenship. So we are looking at each and every one of us in the African continent, that active consciousness, that makes you to know that, okay, I am an African. The Nigerian person is my brother. The Nigerian person is my sister. The Ghanaian is my brother, is my sister. So to curb this whole issue of, what's it called now?
We have ethnic strifes everywhere.
Here and there. Even Ghana now saying Nigeria, pack your load and go. In South Africa, you're talking about the xenophobia and all of those things.
Even within Nigeria, you're having the Igbo Yoruba Fulani clash.
Exactly. All the Lagosians saying Igbo, leave Nigeria, leave Lagos, go back to your state and things like that. So when we understand, this is what education does to us. Not just anyhow education, but the education that is tailored towards who you are, your identity as an African. You'll find out, you will cry. If you had thought about these divisions before, you would cry, because it makes you to understand that we are actually one. We went to Togo as part of our educational journeys to go and see Togo and see how they do their things. And we got there and we were saying to ourselves that we actually one people. We went to Benin Republic, same thing. We actually one people. So this whole strife, this whole division, borders everywhere, actually divides us. Not just physical division, but mental. Because whatever we see physically is registering in our mind, day in, day out, year in, year out, and it's becoming now the reality.
So do you think Nkrumah was right when he was talking about United States of Africa?
It was God. He was God sent to Africa. But we denied him. Just the way the Hebrews, the Jews denied Jesus. They knew him not. We knew Nkrumah not. We did not give him the chance. We will not be here talking about this today.
He had about 7-8 years as president. First as prime minister of Ghana.
Yeah.
Was that not good enough that time?
For the Ghanaians, yes, he was. Well, he was talking about Africa. He said that Ghana's independence is not complete if the whole of Africa is not liberated. And after that, he talked about, let's not just begin enjoying this whole liberation thing. Let's think about coming together, forming a federation. Because he knew that if we are settled and relaxed with this whole independence and autonomy, we'll become greedy. And that's what happened.
He saw the future.
He saw it.
The Ghettos of Pan-Africanism, a book written by Professor Ademola Araoye. The Ghettos of Pan-Africanism. I'm recommending this to you too. Then this is an epic. I love this book. You see, the Pan-African pantheon, prophets, poets, and philosophers. The beauty of this work is that it is the collective thought of Pan-Africanist scholars, poets, prophets, and philosophers. You want to read about Stephen Biko, Wole Soyinka? You want to read about Wangari Maathai, Derek Walcott? You want to read about Miriam Makeba Buchie Mecheta, Maya Angelou? Big book, The Pan-African Pantheon, is a book for you. The 2025 Africa Memorial Day that was organized by Correct Connect Africa Foundation. That was a super event. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was so impressed.
This is good for us. I mean, this feedback is good for us.
You know, the stage, the school children, the drama, the poetic scenes, the panel session, and the theme, historical consciousness and human justice. Why did you pick historical consciousness for 2025?
Okay, we have been using, because for us, we are going back to history. Because we are saying that we don't know our history enough. So we are going back to history. So the whole idea of historical consciousness is on that level because we want to go back to history. Now, every year, apart from the first year, we've used historical consciousness and something that is attached to it. So the first year was the relevance of history. That is 2022 in Lagos, Radisson Blue. The second one was Roots of No Return. That is 2023, Terra Culture. Then the third one was historical consciousness and I forgot now. I will remember later. Then now, historical consciousness and human justice. So the idea was to continue with the historical consciousness, but we found out that from the media perspective, it's causing a kind of confusion. When people see the historical consciousness, there was, but this theme was already there before. I got some people who, like, the last one was historical consciousness, and I'm not getting it now. So now, okay, we said, okay, let us remove the historical consciousness and do something else for 2026. So historical consciousness is like giving us a foundation. We want to go back to history. So we want to be conscious about our history. We want our history to be just there in our mind so that we can make references to them easily. We can easily make references to them. So that is why we have been using the word historical consciousness. So for this period now, we are not going to use historical consciousness anymore because we're looking at, okay, it's becoming monotonous, historical consciousness. But we all know that what we are doing is taking us back to history, to come to that consciousness of history, that knowledge of our history, so that we can start making right choices for Africa, for ourselves.
And the argument that day on our history, the panel session It was an interesting day.
It was. It
Looking at
was.
Femi Falana, at some point, Dede Mabiaku,
Came
you could
forward.
see that emotion.
Yeah.
Connect Africa was able to bring us all together to discuss our being.
Yeah.
And you could see the realization that day.
Sure.
The audience, the speakers, everyone was interested in the subject. And I came out motivated that the Africa that I dream of is here.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And while I listened to your speech, I was attracted to you more. You said in that speech that there must be a historical consciousness for the existence of an awakened Africa. Without it, we cannot truly honor the legacies of Fumilayo Ransome Kuti, Queen Amina of Zaria, Fela Anikulapo Kuti, Chinua Achebe, Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah, Harriet Tubman, Queen Nzinga of Ndongo, and so many others who dared to imagine and fought for a free, just, and united Africa. You continue. Thomas Sankara reminded us, we must choose either champagne for a few or safe drinking water for all. Tell me about Thomas Sankara.
Thomas Sankara was a revolutionary leader, one who wanted to change the course of Burkina Faso in the twinkle of an eye, I would say, because he had the power. Government was in his hands. Hands, I can do it. And he was doing it. Curbing the expenses in traveling and the uses, that is governance, the expenses, or how governance is run, trying to curb a lot of things and all of that. And doing things for the people, changing the name from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, that is land of upright men.
He wanted an African identity.
Sure.
For Burkina Faso.
For Burkina Faso. Using their cotton for their things and not importing all of these things and all of that. And he was only there for 2 years. And he was taken out. Taken out because they saw the push, how he came like a tornado to change the course of that country.
He came with radical reforms.
Radical reforms.
And that must have scared everyone.
Sure.
The French were scared.
They were.
The British were scared. Could that be the reason they conspired?
Yes. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's still happening today.
If you read how Nkrumah was booted out, you'll find the imprints of the CIA. If you look at Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, they use Blaise Compaoré. And you find the imprint of the French system in taking him out. Is it that they don't want Africa to fly? Or is it that Africans are not ready to fly?
They don't want Africa to fly, and some Africans are not ready to fly. Because they will always find the Africans to use against Africa. They will always find those folks amongst us.
Or is it that our liberators are not smart enough? Because Lee Kuan Yew flew in Singapore. He was there. He built it. He protected his corners. And he was able to drive his transformation. In Africa, at some point they kick you out. Why is it so easy to kick you out if you want to do good?
I think it boils down to our African system. We're talking about values, and I use the word Ubuntu. It's in our consciousness, it's deep, deep down us. We are very welcoming people. Africans are my brother, my sister, my sister. We are not that cautious of danger. Even when they say, oh, your brother is going to do something to you, you're like, my brother. We do not have that survival mindset whereby everybody and anybody can be an enemy. We don't have that. And it's kicking against us. These people we're talking about know about this aspect of us. It is vulnerable. And they use that to reach out to us. They use that to keep us at bay where they want us to be. So, it's not like they were not smart. Will I say they were not smart? I will, yeah. Because if they knew, or rather, if they were smart, they would have known better and say, okay, this is where these people can actually use to hit us. I'm talking about it today because we've seen this whole same thing happening and happening and happening again. The same system.
Because I saw the picture of Patrice Lumumba.
I was coming there. The same thing with Patrice Lumumba. Who were the soldiers that were used to kill him? African soldiers. I saw the video of his elimination and I was demoralized and I was in tears.
But Nyerere was there for about 20 years or more than. Is Tanzania transformed?
Yes, I mean, you go to Tanzania today, Nyerere favored the local language. I mean, Tanzania today, they speak Kiswahili, like they are the highest. If I want to say Kiswahili, where it's spoken more in the real sense of it, is Tanzania. And many other reforms, many other things he did. So if you go there today, you will see that imprint of Nyerere. And I've never been there, but friends and colleagues who have been there talk about how peaceful the people are, how peaceful the place is.
They are peaceful, but I don't see ambition. I don't see a South Korea. I don't see a Singapore. I don't see a China. It is still an African country.
Yeah, yes. You see, we have to come to that realization that we are Africans. We are now Singapore, South Korea, and all of these people. They have their own identity. We as Africans, we should have our own identity and make life better for us through our own way of doing things.
You know, I was reading an article published in your magazine, Sankofa Youth Journal.
Yeah.
An article written by Brian Ayanse. The role of technology. Technology is essential to closing the educational divide in Africa. Remote and underprivileged populations can now access education thanks to e-learning platforms, mobile apps, and open educational resources. Yes, we have these opportunities. But we are not the originators in any way. We are consumers. Is that enough?
It's never enough. It's not. It's not enough. We have to do more. Totally agree to that. It's never enough. And if you go to other countries, the United States, Great Britain, France, and the rest, you'll find Africans championing these things we are talking about. Now, the problem is platforms. In Africa here, these people are not provided with platforms to realize themselves. Africans are knowledgeable. Africans are talented, creative, and all of that. But we're still talking about this whole problem of governance.
So who provides the platform? Government?
Government.
You know, at the panel session, I keep making the point. If you want that kind of change, the fundamental change as an idealist, get power.
Yeah.
You talk about Thomas Sankara. He got power and he began to use it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing men of ideas in many African states who postulate, theorize, they talk about these things, and they make the facts clear. But they can't implement it because they don't have access to power. And I was asking Femi Falana, get power.
Yeah.
And you implement your ideas.
Sure.
And drive Africa.
Yes.
Correct, connect Africa. Are you interested in political power?
We are a political organization, but we speak about political issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, our members, people who believe in our ideas, can go for political, can seek for political powers and all of that.
Because if they don't, I'll be angry with them.
No, they can. They can.
If you have educated their mind, broadened their perspective,
Exactly.
of what value will it be if they don't apply it?
Exactly. So, as a foundation itself is apolitical, but its members, sure, they are free to. Yes, because that is the whole point.
Are you a revolutionary?
I don't know what to say.
Thomas Sankara is a revolutionary. You confirm.
Yes.
Fela is a revolutionary.
Yes.
You have confirmed. You love Fela. You love Sankara. Are you a revolutionary?
What do you think?
What do I think? What do you think I should think? Because I read, I look at the pictures you show, I see the goals. You know, you want to achieve education through innovation and use the word Afro-social business.
Yeah.
These are revolutionary terms.
Yeah.
Now, I see some young persons around you. Correct Connect Africa is an organization of young Africans. Is it only for young Africans?
No. It's not only for youngers, it's for everyone. But now we are looking at our demographic. Yeah, we educate everyone. We want everyone to get educated. However, we want to prioritize the young people because these are the future. These are the people that we can say are the leaders of tomorrow, as we say. So we want to educate, we want to pay more attention to the young people, form their mind, because they say when the wood is dry, you want to burn it, it can get broken. But if it's not yet dry, you can still bend it. So that is the idea. That is why we will make such statements. That is why we do that, because we want to pay more attention to the young folks, the young people. But Correct Connect Africa, it's for everyone. It's for everyone.
Sankofa Youth Journal, one of the publications of Correct Connect Africa. Sankofa. I like that name, Sankofa.
Yeah.
Where did you get it from?
It's an Akan word from Ghana. An Akan word. It means go back and fetch it. Literally. But for us, Correct Connect Africa, we use it this way. Go back and retrieve what you have left behind. It has this symbol of a bird trying to retrieve an egg from behind. So the two legs are forward, but it's just turning to use the beak to pick an egg. That is the symbol of Sankofa. So it actually resonates with us, talks about what we are trying to do in Correct Connect Africa Foundation. In fact, the Sankofa a concept is for us a philosophy, because everything that we do is moving towards going back. Educate yourself. Get those things that we're talking about. Then move forward.
So, how do I become a member?
Now, first of all, you write to us showing your interest. Info at ccaf.africa. In fact, everything is Africa for this foundation. Even the extension is Africa. So ccaf.africa, that is the website. And if you want to become a member, you write to us info@ccaf.africa, telling us that you're interested. So that is the first stage. And from there, we take it up from there. So we respond to your interest, and from there we give you the necessary things that you need to do to become a bona fide member of the foundation.
Do you pray at Correct Connect Africa?
No, we don't. We don't pray. We don't pray in the way we pray as Christians, Muslims, and all of that. No, we don't do that. But when we come, we invoke our slogan: Akurek, Ikemuseku, Akurek, Uhemesu. That is for us a form of prayer, pushing us, urging us to do that which is necessary for us as individuals and as people.
This is the latest AMD magazine. Look at the face of this woman. Is this the face of Africa?
Yes.
Beautiful.
It is the face of Africa.
Oh, can you see it? Wow. I like her face. It reminds me of who I am.
Great.
The African woman is beautiful. But why an African woman on the front page? Why not an African man?
The African woman, Africa, it's symbolized with a woman giving birth, nurturing, welcoming. These are values that...
Are you talking about the map of Africa?
No, we're talking about the idea of Africa, the ideal of Africa, the value of Africa. So the woman, the person of the woman represents Africa, who welcomes, who nurtures, who cares for. So, in fact, looking at this, this whole thing I'm talking about, you already feel it.
Her eyes, it's like she's looking into the future. And she's focused, with a straight face, with a calming smile. You see the markings on her face. She was on stage that day, right?
Sure, she was. She was on stage, and she directed a wonderful play, Niso and the Egg. A play that talks about a people, a village that blossomed. And for one reason or the other, they started dwindling down because they had not responded or given praises or worship to their God. So their grains and whatever they were planting those days were not coming up very well. Rain, in fact, ceased. So the king asked the chief priest, go and seek the face of the gods. He went. And the god said, oh, you abandoned me. You forgot me. Now, what are you doing? You're backbiting. You are killing your own brothers. You are greedy. You're selfish, and all of those things. And as a result of that, cease the rain. You're not going to get the plants and the grains anymore. So he pleaded and pleaded. So he sent him to go back, but with a mission. Went back and all of that. So unknown to them, the god was going to come to town and test them, how kind they are to themselves. So she came, and at the stream, she wanted to come and fetch water and all of that. So two young guys were just at the stream playing and all of that. So she came, my sons, can you help me to One of them quickly went there to help her. The other one was like, "Who are you? Get away." In an African setting, an old woman who cannot fetch water. Why did she first of all come to the stream if she knew that she could not fetch water and all of that? So the other one went to help her. To cut the long story short, she gave him something, which eventually was an egg. They got home. Then the story is telling us how these two boys were raised. So the value of family, how family raised their children in Africa. So the first one went home, criticizing, calling the mom and saying, "Who are you? Where are you? Come and give me food," and all of that, shouting at the mom. While the other one went home and the mom embraced him and welcome. You came late, and that one was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I met this old woman in the stream," and all of that. So you see the divide of parental care and all of that. So the drama. So in fact, I heard now that that drama will be going to the stage. Now they're going to work on it again and take it to the stage. And it's something that actually should be elaborated, because also the children, the school children that were there, all connected to the drama, to the stage drama. In fact, they followed through, and the whole suspense, they followed the suspense and all of that. They were shouting when the girls wanted to strike. "No, please," the people were shouting, the kids were shouting, "Please, no, no, no." Showing that the education we are talking about. So, in the area of Nollywood and all of that, we can actually do something whereby most of these movies could actually pass messages, simple messages of this kind. How to be kind, how to respect one another, how to believe or see the value of an old person in the society, and things like that.
So values inculcated through the family is key. That means the family is also the foundation of development.
The primary foundation of development.
We must pay attention to the family.
To the family.
What's her name?
Elvina Ibru, an actress.
Elvina Ibru. It's on the front page of Africa Memorial Day magazine 2025. Wow. Yes. So these books here, we have 5 of them. I've introduced them to you. Find them, read them. The State of Africa, Fortunes of Africa, Afrobeat, the Pan-African Pantheon, the Ghettos of Pan-Africanism. These are the books I'm recommending to you on this edition of the program. Reverend Odior, we are also giving these books to connect Africa.
Wow.
So, thank you for coming.
Wow. No, thank you.
Thank you.
And you just caught me unawares. I don't even know what to say. I'm emotional now.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you do, and thank you for your team. The work you do is a work of redemption.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we are going to make good use of these books. Thank you so, so much. We are so grateful for this.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure and it's a delight to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for featuring on State Affairs.
Thank you.